So I got a lot to say this week. I'm also doing a lot of writing this week. So I don't feel like writing more on social media. I'm just being totally honest with you. But I do have a lot to say and share. So I'm gonna do video for the next day or two. Let's just see how it goes. Let's just get spitball with you. Usually I write these up and I'm much more methodical about it, but I just feel like spitballing this week. So let's see how it goes. Every week, I do this on Sundays. I open up a whole bunch of articles from Marketing Week and Marketing Dive. I can see what's going on in the wider marketing world with brands. This week I was reading about American Eagle and one of the airlines. I don't remember anymore. And it made me think, what is good branding? What is good? What is a good brand? Well, fundamentally, what is it? And to me, it's being able to hold on to your audience's emotions for a long time and being able to hold on to them and speak to them and hold and really take them in and yours. When you're holding on to your own emotions and you're holding on to your brand and to your audience's emotions, and you're holding on to both those at the same time so they can meet and talk to each other, that's what good branding fundamentally conceptually is. It's just communicating. It's communicating at a very deep, latent level, which I think gets lost in marketers in general, that marketing is really just communicating. Especially on the performance side, we've turned it into whatever it is, this behemoth. But fundamentally, it's just communicating. When you look at marketing, it's just fundamentally it's communication. It becomes a very different thing altogether. Anyway, I think good branding is when you're able to hold on to your audience's emotions and then communicate to those emotions, those very deep latent emotions. But I think what happens is we kind of get caught up in those big emotional experiences. Like when you're looking at what these brands are doing, and every one of these articles that I'm reading is a campaign, blah, blah, blah. When you start thinking about it as a campaign and you start looking at it as, okay, I'm going to make a big emotional splash. That's true. Like you can definitely hit a big emotion and make a big emotional impact. It doesn't have to be through a big camp. Usually it's probably not through a giant campaign, by the way. It's usually something that really, really speaks to your audience and really hits them, like almost like a good movie. The end of the movie where you start bawling, for me, is Field of Dreams. No matter how many times I've seen it, right? That line, like, "Hey, Dad, done. I am done." That's a big emotional landing. And that usually doesn't happen through a particular campaign. It's usually when you get something really right. It's a magical moment. That magical Field of Dreams moment is a very magical moment. And it doesn't happen too often. And I think people expect it's almost like going viral. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen when you think it's going to happen and you can't plan it and you shouldn't try to plan it. And I think what happens is we see these big companies running these big campaigns. All right, we're going to make that big emotional impact, that big emotional landing. That's amazing branding. And that is an amazing moment in branding that happens at very specific moments in time and very rarely. What I think good branding is, that's amazing. What I think good branding is speaking to those emotions consistently. Bad branding is when you don't resonate at all. Negative branding is when you resonate in a bad way. When you're able to speak to the latent emotions of an audience negatively, that's negative branding. Bad branding is where you just don't land over and over and over and over again to the point where people start looking at you like, what is the deal with this brand? They just don't get me. Whereas good branding is speaking to an audience and landing with them, not this major splash ever, but landing and landing and landing. Maybe not landing once in a while, definitely not landing once in a while with an audience over and over and over again to the point where they feel seen. When your audience feels seen, like you get them, that's good branding. Making that emotional splash, like you do, like you know, Field of Dreams does with me, like, hey, Dad, that's amazing. That's not fundamentally what good branding is. If bad branding is not resonating, and negative branding is where you just do have a negative resonance, then good branding is when you resonate over and over and over again. It's really about consistently holding on to those emotions and landing with those emotions that your audience has over and over and over again over time.